Hi, everybody. This is David Nevins for City Biz, and welcome to our program today. And today we are joined by an old friend, a longtime Baltimorean, Bob Manekin, who is very well known in Baltimore business circles and civic and philanthropic circles and so on. Bob, welcome to our program.
Thank you, David. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure for us to have you. So we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk a little bit about your career and the Baltimore real estate industry and so forth. But we're going to start off. I know this is important to you as a person. I know you've been involved in this this is not a new venture, but for quite some time. Your work and your involvement in the Baltimore Jewish community and how you're making it better. And so maybe start out with more or less what you're doing now. But I'd really like to hear, throughout your involvement, sharing with us, what you think you've done that's probably most significant for the community in that regard.
Okay, thank you, David. This for me is a matter of home, and it's also a matter of legacy. It's interesting. My father was very active in the Associated Jewish Charities. He was very active in the JCC. He was the past chairman of the board of the JCC in the early 50s, shortly after the agency was established. And he was the real estate professional that assembled the site on 5700 Park Heights Avenue that has been the Associated and the JCC campus since 1960. My involvement in the Associated and the Jewish community has basically been on three different things: from a fundraising perspective, from an agency perspective, and from a real estate perspective. I've been involved in all those aspects, but what I probably liked the most, as you could probably appreciate, given my background and my career, was the real estate. In fact, the most recent project I'm working on is the redevelopment of the Park Heights campus and the JCC building that my father was instrumental in developing almost 60 years ago. So this has been about the Jewish community, been about Baltimore, but it's also been about a family legacy of service to the community that means a lot to me and my brother and others in our family.
Bob, it must be quite a thrill. And you use the word legacy, of course, but it really must be sort of a personal thrill to be able to, let's take the JCC, for example, for you to be able to, that's the Jewish Community Center for any of our viewers who are not familiar, but to be able to stay involved on a project that, your dad brought to fruition, and then now you're involved, standing on his shoulders and the shoulders of many others who came before in making it better once again.
It's an incredible emotional high. I can remember going across the street from Pimlico Junior High School to the JCC in the early 60s, to swim, to hang out, to play basketball. And to now, and my dad's name was on the building plaque as the vice chairman, Joe Meyerhoff was the chairman. To now be able to go back into that building and that community and repurpose the building as the headquarters for the Associated, a totally renovated JCC, a new Jewish library, and conference rooms and an auditorium for the entire community. It is a very, very emotional and very exciting.
And Bob, just maybe share with us briefly what the state of that project is, and when it's going to be ready and it debuts and so forth.
We expect this. It's approximately a $20 million project. It's a $20 million investment in the facilities and in Northwest Baltimore. We expect to start construction in 60 days, and we expect that the entire project will be completed by the fourth quarter of 2025.
So you've been heavily involved in that as your dad was. I know that it's, again, you spoke to what a thrill it was, but to be able to work on a project, your dad's name is on one of those permanent plaques there, and now you're going in and taking it to the next level.
it's been very exciting. Like my father, I was the chairman of the board of the JCC. So I'm very, very familiar with the agency. And being in that position, I've been able to sort of impact on a lot of what the JCC did, not only programmatically, but also from a facilities point of view. With Joe Meyerhoff II, I was the co-chair for the Gordon Center in Owings Mills, and that Gordon Center is a 550-seat performing arts center that has totally changed cultural activities in Baltimore County in general and in the Owings Mills area in particular. So it's very exciting to participate, not only to participate in making some of these things happen, but to see the benefits of the participation. That's coming from a real estate person who, as a developer, you like to turn around and be able to see your handiwork on the
Right.
landscape. And that's what has really generated a lot of my involvement with the Jewish charities over the last 45 years.
Right. Well, I think, as you know, I'm a first, I guess I'm I don't know, first generation Baltimorean, though not born here, right? So
Doesn't matter. You have more than grandfathered yourself
I
into,
appreciate it, but I
Baltimore.
I came to what was then Towson State College in the 70s, and so it's approaching 50 years. So it's and I knew your dad in the early days of my career, and Joe Meyerhoff, who was the chairman. You said to your dad's being the vice chairman. He interviewed me and hired me as the marketing director then of the Baltimore Symphony, and what I've been telling people since is that he interviewed me at the Center Club, and I walked in and I thought, I'm in my early 20s, right? And I walked in and I thought, this is like a cool place. I'm Joe Meyerhoff's guest, and then fast forward like 30 years later, I'm the president of the Center Club.
Right.
And so anyway, enough about me, Bob. Let's go back to talking about you. I know we talked about your involvement in the Jewish community, and I know that's been incredibly important and continues to be. But you did mention real estate, and I know that you've had a brilliant career in Baltimore and beyond real estate industry. Just share with our viewers a little bit about that, and maybe what you're doing now as well from a professional perspective.
Okay, I got into the real estate business in 1977, shortly after I was discharged from the Navy Judge Advocate General Corps. I was in ROTC in college, got deferred to go to law school, went to Maryland Law School, then went on, passed the bar, then went on active duty for 3 years. When I came back, I decided I didn't want to continue the practice of law. I wanted to see what real estate was like, and just so happened that there was a very successful family real estate business that my father and my uncle Harold had built up over the years. So I joined what was then Manekin Corporation. And over the next 7 or 8 years, I really learned the ins and outs of commercial real estate by being in property management. And after that, I spent another 7 years learning how to develop commercial real estate by developing 270 Technology Park with a bunch of very talented people in Frederick, and then Bennington Corporate Center in Gaithersburg. In the early 90s, when the commercial real estate industry was suffering from a lot of bad loans and an oversupply of space, and the Resolution Trust Company was selling off assets, I decided it was a good time to leave the family business to pursue other activities in the industry. So I went to work for the New York-based Studley Company, which focused on tenant representation. Now, before, I had been one of the people that developed bricks and mortar real estate. Now I was representing the users of real estate, which gave me a completely and totally different perspective. And since 1993, I have engaged overwhelmingly in professional service work representing the users of space, whether they were law firms such as Venable, Miles and Stockbridge, Baker Donaldson, Rosenberg Martin, whether they were institutional users like Hopkins or Mercy, the government, Social Security Administration. I have been representing those entities that used office space, and I've helped them sort of develop and implement an occupancy strategy that saves them money, that facilitates retention and helps with recruitment of people. And that's primarily what I have been doing the last 25 to 30 years, with one significant exception. When I went to JLL in January of 2016, I was given an opportunity to get into training. So for the last 6 or 7 years, I've been the director of Mid-Atlantic Training, and I have been on the group that brought forth what we call JLLU, JLL University, and developed the broker know-how series for young brokers, which I have found particularly enjoyable and gratifying.
That's great. I know you've had a remarkable career in the real estate industry. Congratulations.
Thank you.
As we close, Bob, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about J Live, I believe, and share some events that they may have upcoming that our audience might want to hear about.
Okay, I definitely do. J Live is a fundraising exercise where we want to raise fun as well as funds. And it's going to be held March 6th, and it's going to feature the Lords of 52nd Street, which is a Billy Joel band, the members of which are in the Lords of 52nd Street. And what we do, the monies that are raised for this event, and the goal is raising $350,000, goes to scholarships. At the JCC, we fund a significant number of scholarships. At least 23% of the people, of the 200 families that are in the Early Childhood Center, are getting some scholarship assistance. We help provide scholarships for more than 1,000 kids to summer camps. We have a range of programs that are aimed at all members, non-members, members of the community, regardless of race, religion, sexual orientation, whatever. And so this is a big event for us. And at the event, some people who told me I'm being recognized for a lot of the real estate work and community service that has been done, but it's really about raising money for scholarships, particularly for the people in the sort of the Owings Mills community that this event is all about.
That's great. And how does someone get the details on tickets and so forth?
Details on tickets. I want to make sure I get this right. It's at the Gordon Center box office. All you need to do is, I think it's www.gordoncenter.com.
Yeah.
And go to looking at future events, and then you'll see J Live with 52nd Street Band. That's the event you want to go to.
Thanks for mentioning that, Bob. You must get up when you wake up in the morning. You must say, "Is today going to be a real estate day, or a JCC day, or maybe every day is everything?" I don't know. What do you think?
I just wake up saying today is going to be a good day.
Good
no
for
matter
you.
Where I spend it, no matter what percentage of the day or whether it's all day, I just wake. Today's going to be a good day.
That's great. Thank you, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, David. I very much appreciate it.
It's our pleasure again. Our guest has been Bob Manekin, an old friend and a incredibly prominent and good man in Baltimore. Bob, thank you for joining us. This is David Nevins for City Biz. We'll catch you next time. Thank you.